Hey everybody, this is my thoughts on sports games in general, and basically why I don't review any of them. Now what you're seeing here is Baseball Stars 2. It's a Neo Geo arcade baseball game that's available on Steam. I'll have a link in the video description to where you can pick it up if you're interested. But it doesn't have to apply to simply baseball games, it applies to any sport really. I just find them all incredibly boring for two simple reasons. The first reason is that nearly all of them are pretty much the exact same. I mean, when you really get down to it, there's really not that much you can do with a sports game. This is why almost all of the differences between various iterations of, for example, Madden are just cosmetic stuff. And if you look at, for example, EA's presentations on their sports games, they are constantly talking about animations in particular, but also things like faces and all these different visual touches that really have no bearing on the gameplay itself, which in a lot of cases hasn't really changed much since the early 90s or even late 80s. There's just this pervasive feeling that if you've played, for example, one NBA game, you've played pretty much all of them. Those few outliers are the ones that take quite a lot of liberties, like, say, NBA Jam, which is just completely absurd, or something like Rocket League, which does something that you couldn't possibly do in real life. And even when you play those, there's still this oddly pervasive feeling of been there, done that, because, let's face it, you can just go outside and play most of these sports. I mean, let's face it, why would I take the time to play a golf video game when I can actually go golfing? Or why would I take the time to play a basketball video game when I can just go play basketball? About the only argument I can really see favorably is the idea of playing the fantasy, where instead of just you playing basketball or golf or whatever the sport is, you're stepping momentarily into the shoes of a pro playing that sport. But that kind of defeats the point of working towards playing on that level on the actual sport, so it's kind of a mixed bag there. That said, we can't all be the likes of, say, Jackie Robinson or Jack Nicklaus or Dr. J or any number of these other professional athletes that play on a level that we couldn't possibly hope to achieve, even with the amount of work that we could put into it. I can see wanting to be in that fantasy, but that's not really enough for these particular games. They're too detached to really feel like you're actually playing that particular sport. The act of pressing a few buttons on a controller to watch an avatar do something on a screen is not anywhere near the same as actually taking part in that sport. It's a completely different mindset, as well as completely different skills and abilities that are tested when you're actually playing a sport versus when you're pressing a few buttons on a gamepad. And quite frankly, if I am playing a video game, I would rather it be something that I could not possibly do in real life. I can go and play golf or basketball or baseball or insert really any sport here. I may not be good at it, I may not really enjoy that sport itself, but I can do that in real life. I can't, for example, go slay dragons with my sword and my lightning bolts, or go into the battlefields of World War I or World War II or whatever war you're wanting to throw around. I can't hop into a spaceship and go flying to different worlds. I can't interact with bizarre fantasy creatures or aliens or run from horrific monsters in some sort of evil labyrinth. And that's when I look at a sports video game, I just sit there and say, wait a minute, why would I play that when I can go play the actual sport and interact with real people and actually get some physical activity out of it? And to date, I've never been able to come up with an answer for that question that is in favor of the video game experience of sports, rather than the actual experience of sports. And that's the second reason that I really just can't stand playing sports games. They bore the hell out of me because I just would rather actually play the sport than sit there and play a video game about the sport. And when you combine that with the first reason, where pretty much all of them play exactly the same within a given sport, then you end up having a recipe for me just not giving a crap about sports games at all. I'm at the point where there's absolutely nothing anyone can say or do that will ever get me interested in a sports game. Not even something like Rocket League, although Rocket League's problem isn't so much that it's just a sports game, it's that it combines sports games, which I already find boring as hell because, again, I would rather be actually playing the sport, with the act of driving. But that's a video for another time. In the meantime, I'm curious what you think about sports games, why you play them if you play them, and why you don't play them if you don't play them. I can see where people would be wanting to play the fantasy, or if they are physically incapable of playing that sport, or it's just simply not an option in their particular area. But beyond that, again, I would just rather play the sport, and it pretty much baffles me as to why anyone would think otherwise. So let's go ahead and get a discussion going on this. But until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in later videos.